One of the biggest struggles I have with a static site generator is that you're required to put in all of your websites by hand, and typically the easiest way is to do it on your computer. There's no way to do it on the go, on your tablet, or on your smartphone. I'm going to show you guys today a system that Netlify designed called the Netlify CMS, or Content Management System, that gives you a GUI interface in your browser, whether it's on your computer, on your tablet, or on your phone, to add and edit web pages on your website. Let's get into the video. All right, everybody, Chris Stayte here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to add something called the Netlify CMS. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys real quick what this looks like. I'm going to pull up my blog website that I so cherishly love. And you can see here that all these posts looks great, but the biggest problem here is that when I go into the actual code, I'm going to pull up Visual Studio Code here. When I go into this code, you can see that all of my posts are here on the left. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. You can see that all of my posts are here on the left, and that you can see them all in their glorious markup format. You can see all of them that you can see on my website, right? Well, the problem here is that every time I want to add a new post, I have to go into here and add a new file and then write down all this stuff, and it just isn't very inducive or conducive to me to do this on the go. I like working on the go. I like to be able to create my YouTube videos or my blog post, and then on the go, get on my iPad and just like type up my web page. So that way I don't have to sit here at my desk all the time, or if I just want to type out in the open or in my hammock outside. And one of the biggest things is that it isn't really conducive to do this on there. Now, I thought to myself, there has to be a way for me to be able to do this, not only to get away from just my computer, but to get away from this coding environment. I want to be able to do this through a nice, beautiful GUI interface. So I'm going to show you the solution that I have to my website, and then I'll go into how I got there. So to get there, I just go to blog.chrisstayte.com/admin. Now I have this set up to where it will log in using my Google account, which is really awesome because not only is it super secure, I don't have to create another username or password. And you can see that because my Google account is already logged in on here on my browser, it went ahead and just forwarded me into my thing. Now you can see on the left here, I have everything broken down into collections. If I'm going to be posting a post about this series, I go into the $12 website. And you can see here my most recent video was, let's see, the most recent one was the custom domain. So I can click on there, and right there you can see I can turn it to a draft in case I'm not done editing it. I can add categories, tags, my images. I can allow commenting and sharing. And I can also put down here the actual YouTube video and some text that I want to talk about. And over here I have a little publish button. I can delete this and edit it at any time. This isn't just available on just my computer. You can see if I go into the smartphone view, it scales very well with different smartphones. Let's say I want to go into my iPad here. This is what it looks like on an iPad, and it works just the same. You can edit everything, you can view everything, and work with it perfectly on a mobile device. So that's why I love it. So now in the next section, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I got to this point, what I used, and what tools we're going to be using. All right, so we're back here in Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to show you guys how to add this Netlify CMS system. I'm going to pull up my browser here. And I'm going to actually go to google.com, and I'm going to show you guys how to add this. So I just, down here in the search bar, I'm going to type in Netlify CMS. Now, if you see this, there is a GitHub link. That's the first one. That's a perfect link. That's the one you can go to kind of read more of the documentation and actually see the code. It is open source, and for those of you wondering, it is written in React. So that's awesome. It's very extensible, and they allow you to add your own custom uses and stuff, and I'll show you guys that here in a bit. But I'm actually going to go to netlifycms.org. This website is just the website that is the front and kind of shows you guys what you're going to be getting here as a package. But what I want to do is I want to click this Getting Started guide. You can see here Netlify CMS can be added to any existing site. So maybe you've already created your website and you're thinking to yourself, well, it's too late for me to add this. Well, it's not. Or you can actually add it to a brand new site. It doesn't just work with just Hugo. It works with many site generators, or static site generators. So you're not limited to what you're using. I'm going to show you guys today how to set it up with Hugo. But other than that, it's going to work super simple. It's just about the same for everyone that you use. I already know a lot of this, and I've read a lot of this documentation. If you guys want to know how to do a lot of this, it's all in this documentation over here. I'm going to click on this link right here called Add to Your Site, and I'm going to scroll down. You can see here that they support, here's the generators, they support Jekyll, Gitbook, Hugo, Gatsby, and Nuxt, Hexo, Middleman, Spike, and YM. What we're going to do here is I'm actually going to go back to Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to kind of set it up the way they want it. You can see here that it says inside the admin folder, you'll create two files. You'll create index.html and config.yaml. I'm going to create the index.html. So to do this, where we want to place this is we actually want to place this in our static folder. And in there, you're going to create a new folder called admin. So I'm going to create that admin folder. And then in there, I'm going to create a new file called index.html. Now that I have that done, I want to go back to netlifycms.org. I'm going to go down here. It says the first file. You're just going to basically copy all this text and then paste it into here, and that one's done. Super simple, guys, right? So this is some HTML that essentially sets it up for React to come in here and do its job. You don't need to worry about that. But the next one we're going to add is this config.yaml file. YML. Now in here, this is kind of where Netlify or the Netlify website is going to actually look for the configuration for this CMS or this content management system. I'm going to go ahead and we'll look at some documentation, but essentially it's saying in here that you need to set up your backend, and that's going to be called name Git Gateway and branch master. I'm going to show you guys how to do that and what that means. Let's type it in first. So you're going to type in backend and a colon, and then you're going to type in the name of it is Git Gateway. And the branch is the master. If you're pushing your website off the master branch on GitHub, this is what you're going to want to use. I do want to add a disclaimer here. I'll throw it up on the screen, is that you must be hosting your website through GitHub to use this. It only works using GitHub hooks, which is a system they built in to add notifications and stuff for Git repositories. It will not work with GitLab or Bitbucket or any other Git repository as of today. I hope they would add it in the future, but today you can only use GitHub. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go back to Netlify so we can set up the second portion of this. Inside of here, you actually do need to click on your settings for your website, and then you actually want to scroll to the, I believe it's access control. No, it's going to be identity then. Oops, clicked on a link. Isn't that nice? You're going to click on identity, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And down here at the bottom, you're going to see services. And down there, you're going to see something called Git Gateway. What this allows you to do is give this, I'll call it a setting or your configuration settings for this site on Netlify, the ability to post to your repository on your behalf. It's going to automatically request an API access token from your Git repository and enable that automatically. There should be a checkmark box. I have mine enabled because I've been using it for a while, but you just click on it. Give it a few seconds. If it doesn't show up, refresh the page, and you should be good to go. But you can see there, you'll be given it'll show you your repository. I don't need to set up roles because that's for something that I don't really get into, but if you want to see that, go ahead and check that out in the documentation on Netlify CMS's website. But that'll essentially allow you to get access to that. That is how you show it how to get access, but now we need to add one more thing here before we can get into the actual content, and that is showing it where your media is. Your website's going to have files such as text documents or even pictures. What we're going to want to add is a path to where those will be uploaded to. So you have two types of folders or keys in here you'll have to add to this configuration file. You're going to add the media folder, and that is where these media is uploaded. So I upload mine in the static uploads folder. You can see all my pictures. So I'm just going to type in static, and then I'm going to type in uploads. Now that is where it actually uploads it to your repository, but we want it to also show what the public folder is or what it shows up on the website as. And I'm just going to name that uploads. So that way, whenever it goes to look for a file, it's just going to show the URL, blog.chrisstayte.com/uploads/ here's your file. And that's essentially what will be used, not the static. Now, if I go over and back to the Netlify CMS website, and I scroll down, you can see right here that they actually have that set up right there. So if you already have images folder in your project, you could use its path, possibly creating an upload subfolder, for example. As you can see here, they have images/uploads. I like to use mine as a generic term. That's why I just kind of put it in an uploads folder. I don't specify images because one day I might want to upload a text document or something like that. You can see here that for Hugo, you can set a static folder. For Hugo, Hexo, and Middleman, you actually need to add this public folder. That's why I added it there. And that configuration is done. The last thing I'm going to show you guys in here to get this up and running is the collection side. Collections essentially shows it a format to work. I'll show you guys how that looks. So if I go to my admin page. And I go into here and I want to add let's say I want to add a new coding web page. I click new coding, and this right here is just my template of how I want it set up. I want a title, I want a publish date, categories, tags, images. This is essentially a template which needs to be added inside here, and that is under something called collections. I'm going to show you guys one, and then I'm going to paste in what I have everything else, because I actually have a lot that I use for my configuration file, but I'm going to show you guys how this works. So we're going to go to collections, and after that, you're going to type in a dash name, and this name right here is essentially, let's do my coding one. I'm going to pull over here on the side. I have all this code up over here on the side because I don't have all this completely memorized, which is okay. I wrote this before. Here we go, coding. So the name is just going to be called coding, and this is essentially what runs in the background. This isn't going to be showed to the user. It just needs to be set up for you. But the label here, so you're going to hit tab, label, does need to be, this will be what's shown to the user. The next thing you want to do is you want to show it what folder these are located in. You can see that I organize all my content into folders, so I just need to point it to that. So I'm going to say this is in the content folder, and then I'm going to say it's in the coding folder, subfolder. There is a key here called create, and I want to set that equal to true, so that way it shows that there's a create button on the website. There are times when you don't want to allow the user to create things, just allow them to edit them. And then there's something called the slug. And the slug is essentially how it is set up to name those files. You can see in here that every time I create a new file, it creates the year and then the name of the page. It uses the title. So you can see you're building a website using Hugo, and it puts dashes in and makes it all lowercase. So that slug, and how you set up that is I'm going to set it, you type in 2 curly braces, I'm going to type in year, type in 1 dash, and then type in the slug. And what slug is that's actually going to take your name and parse it out, make it lowercase, and add dashes where there are spaces. So every file is going to be named the year and then slug, or the title of the file. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to add fields. And these are kind of where those title and stuff is in. So I'm going to type in label, and label, I'm going to do the title, right? So that's what's going to show to the user. But what you want now is you can see in here that it's lowercase title in this configuration and this front matter, right? So right here, when you type in the next piece, which is the name, this is where you can type in what shows up in there. The next thing you want is the type of widget. I'll go to the website and explain this to you. But the widget is essentially, what is this? I want the user to be able to type in a string. And then you can also type in some, they're optional arguments, but some other things. Oh, let me fix this. This is not spelled right. There we go. Some optional ones are things like, is it required? I'm going to say true. Every post should have a title. Or what is the default, right? I don't really want a default, but I could put a default like hi there, right? But I don't really need a default because this is a title. Defaults are for other things. Now, there are tons and tons of other types of widgets. We can go to Netlify CMS's website, and right here you can see that they actually break this down. The name is the post type identifier used in routes. The label is what the post type will be called in the admin UI. This folder is where the files are, or these types are stored. And the create is set to true to allow the users to create the collection. You can see the slug here. You can add things like the year, the month, the date, and it'll actually create a URL safe version of the post title. The fields down here, you have to have a label, a name, a widget, and you can optionally set a default. Kind of the things I just went over. Over here, you can actually set it up to filter certain things, like place things that have certain languages. If you only wanted to edit English posts, if you actually specified that on your Hugo website. But if you scroll all the way down, all the way to the top, you can see up here, inside that little post over here, that there are the widgets. So there's a widget reference over here. If I click on that, they're going to show you all the widgets. Very easy to understand. The one that we used is called string. It's a text input. It's going to save it as a string, and it accepts a string, defaults to an empty string. They have all sorts of things. You can add booleans, dates, date time, the files, so you can upload files. There's a hidden section, so you can actually add, and I actually do this myself. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste all these fields because there's quite a bunch. Let me do this for you real quick. There we go. You can see here I actually use the hidden one right here because to tell my website and to fake it, I explained this in the previous video, but basically to fake it, I have to say that it's type post, and I don't want the user typing that in every time. So what I do is I say the type default is post, and then I hide that. So the user never sees that that is going to be added to that front matter on that post, but it does get added. Anything that is not added in here will not show up when you use the Netlify CMS. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste all of my configuration file. There's just a lot in here, and if you want, you can check out the repository for my website on github.com/ChrisStayte. I have all my code on there, so you guys can view my blog website at any time and see how far I've gotten with it and see everything that's on there. But this kind of goes through and adds all those collections on the side that you see and all of that, right? Now that I've got all that set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that to my repository, and it should build. Now there is one thing that we need to do, and that is called identity. In your identity tab, if you don't have it enabled, go ahead and enable it. And you can see here you can invite users. You're going to want to go ahead and click invite users. You're going to want to type in your email address. I'm just going to use my Gmail here. I'm already added, you can see right here. But if you want them to be able to log in using Google, you're going to want to click on settings and usage. Scroll down to external providers, and you can actually allow your users to log in using Google, Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitLab. Once that's enabled and everything's working fine, you can just go to your website. I'm going to open up a incognito website so I can show you guys kind of the, or browser, I can show you guys kind of the portal that shows up. So I'm going to type in blog.chrisstayte.com/admin. And what pops up this time is a login and a login with Google. You can also set up a user with a username and password. But I typically like to use Google because it's faster and just one less thing to memorize. Now that that's working, I can actually go to my website, and you can see right there, boom, I have all of my things set up and ready to use. It's awesome, it's beautiful. You can upload images here. You can see I can view all my images. I can upload new ones. I can delete existing ones. It's amazing and super easy to use. If you guys have any problems getting this set up, please just leave a comment down below. I'll try to help you guys out. The biggest thing here is that I've noticed that when you guys are asking for help, you're not uploading your code to GitHub, which is kind of the first step for me to be able to help you. So if you guys need some help, just upload that code to GitHub and then post a link in your comment, and I'll try to take some time to look at that and kind of troubleshoot or debug that on my own and get back to you through the comment section. All right, well, I hope you guys liked the video. I know it was a short one. I didn't want to take too much time. I know that I kind of covered a ton of stuff in such a short amount of time, but please, one of the biggest things that I always recommend is read your documentation. Read that website. It's going to explain everything that you need to get through. If you're stuck and you have no place to go, look at my repository on GitHub, check out what I've used, check out what I'm using, and see if you can troubleshoot it that way. If all else fails, go ahead and throw a comment down below. Let me know, and I'll try to help you out personally. I know that sometimes this can be a struggle, and this can seem like it's a never-ending task, but it's not impossible, guys, and it's super easy to do. All right, so if you guys want to go ahead and check out my website, blog.chrisstayte.com, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That helps out a lot. Hit the bell notification if you want notifications when I upload videos, or you can just check out my page every couple days. Check me out on Instagram.com/ChrisStayte, and I'll see you guys on the next video.